Global Climate Today,
live special Rachel Reid's spring budget.
The spring statement is the Chancellor's attempt to convince the country that her plans to deliver meaningful
welfare benefit cuts.
Major tax rises are off the table until at least the autumn, and the Chancellor's not expected to loosen her self-imposed fiscal rules on government borrowing and debt. In Whitehall, some budgets are protected. Spending on the NHS, schools and defence, for example.
26th March today. Wednesday morning, guys, joining me. 5,
courts and prisons,
25.
culture, the environment and local government, which is responsible for social care. We do know there are plans to reduce spending on welfare by £5 billion a year by 2030, and charities are warning of the impact on thousands of vulnerable people.
The many people that we are supporting are incredibly scared. Many are already facing serious financial and
scary
challenges.
It's
these proposed changes just
it's stressful for a lot of these people. They can't work. Well, the whole thing's a joke.
Publish its revised forecast for the economy, and it's expected it will downgrade growth, predicting it'll be slower than previously thought. Now that's a bit awkward for a government on a self-proclaimed growth mission. No wonder then perhaps some announcements on big infrastructure projects have been coming thick and fast. The Chancellor herself was on site yesterday to unveil a £2 billion plan for 18,000 social and affordable homes. A £9 billion plan for a new tunnel under the River Thames between Gravesend and Tilbury has finally been given the go-ahead. And Heathrow Airport's multi-billion-pound expansion plan, including a third runway, is expected to create 100,000 new jobs and boost the UK steel industry. But a new survey of 150 business leaders found 85% of them don't believe growth will pick up significantly by the end of this Parliament.
Business is very concerned because we're operating in a very unusual and difficult geopolitical landscape. There is all the uncertainty about trades and tariffs, which they have got to manoeuvre, and the global economy is also suffering.
Whatever the Chancellor says today, a changing world can drastically alter the outlook. £10 billion worth of headroom, which Rachel Reeves left herself in October's budget, has now swung to an estimated £5 billion shortfall because of higher borrowing costs. That picture could swing the other way and improve considerably over the coming months, or it could get even worse. Mark Ashdown, BBC News.
Well, in just the last few moments, the Office for National Statistics has confirmed that the inflation rate has eased to 2.8% last month. That's a fall from January when it stood at 3%. It means prices are still rising, but at a slightly slower rate.
That's good.
Well, our chief political correspondent.
That's a bit of golden. That's a bit of
Good morning, Henry. I imagine that the Chancellor will be watching that number very closely.
So there's a bit of good news there.
Roughly in line with expectations, perhaps a touch better, but a reminder, as you say, that prices are still rising, that many people in this country are still experiencing severe cost of living pressures, and that this government does need to find a way at some point to deliver on what it says is its number one priority, economic growth. That's a really big day for the Chancellor today, as you can perhaps tell by the fact that the local council is trying really hard to clean up the doorstep of number 11 before she emerges in a few hours' time. She won't be emerging with a red box. This is not a budget, but it is a spring statement that has acquired really new significance. And the reason for that is, as I was just saying, growth is still not coming to the economy. In fact, we're expecting the Independent Office for Budget Responsibility to announce today that its forecasts are much more gloomy about the prospects for economic growth than they were when they produced forecasts last in October. What you're going to hear from Rachel Reeves today is that the reason for that is that the world has changed. And that is a nice way of saying Donald Trump became President of the United States again. She will try to preempt an argument that she knows is coming from some of her own party colleagues, that if the world has changed, perhaps her economic approach should change. Perhaps she should borrow more. Perhaps she should change her approach to tax. She will argue that actually that would just make the problems worse. But that is an argument that is going to run and run long beyond today's spring statement.
Henry, well done. We managed to hear you over the noise of the street. It's brilliant stuff. We'll talk to you again
well done.
Very soon. That's Henry live in Downing Street for us.
Hands up the right side of the screen.
Just coming up to
please subscribe to my channel on Signage Evans. Let's watch the video.
We mentioned Donald Trump just